Welcome back to the Hype Mind. I'm Bear,
And I'm Daniel.
and today we're going to be talking about and offering some more relationship advice, specifically availability. What do I mean by that? Why is that important? Well, uh, you know, I can't help but laugh because I feel like we offer so much relationship advice that we might just make you inclined to not want to be in a relationship because it's too much work. But at any rate, relationships are easy, right? If you're with the right person, your relationship's easy. So uh, stay positive. Um, but at
You're
any rate, availability. What are we
necessary.
talking about?
Do the necessary things.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And and this kind of goes in line with the whole vetting conversation that we've had in the past, where you need to
Wow. What is that?
hope they're all right.
Right?
Um, where you need to, you need to be aware of red flags. You need to be aware of things you want, things you don't want. Right. One of the things you need to be aware of. Oh my gosh. Welcome,
Hopefully,
folks.
yes, hopefully
Welcome.
they are, right?
Yeah, I hope they're okay.
Keep
If they're
going.
not, they can come here and we'll help them. Um, okay, so but anyway, right there in aligned, right there aligned with the things you need to be looking for is availability. Is the person you're speaking to and vetting and interested in
Right. First and
and getting to
foremost.
know available?
Yep.
Are they, emotionally, mentally, physically available to
Right.
actually
Right.
be in a relationship and to get to know you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And also, Bear, the biggest thing I see, right, with being available is obviously if they're already in a relationship, right, they're not available. And some people getting stuck into pursuing people already in a relationship. But I think the really big thing is that you have to they have to like they have to be interested too, and they have to like you enough
Yeah.
to keep pursuing a relationship. It's a two-way street.
And we're going to talk about those things too, guys,
Yeah.
because
And so,
we're here
yeah,
to provide answers. Keep going.
but this is the big thing too. It's like obviously you're not going to, ask someone, "Hey, do you like me?" or "Are you interested?" But if you're doing that, stop. What you need to do is you read social
Look
cues.
for the signs. Yeah.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Look
Especially as
for
a
the
dude.
signs. If you're talking to someone, and you ask them for their name, and and then they ask you for their if they look interested in you, if they're facing you, if they pay attention to you, if they seem excited to see you,
They
if
ask you
they
questions.
agree,
They
yeah,
want to
exactly.
get to know you.
If they agree to get
Actually,
together,
I would say, yeah, I would say right there, the biggest is, do they make time for you? Here comes another. Do
right?
they make time for you? Right? That's the biggest. Do you guys make time for each other? Because if you don't,
Mhm.
the attraction's not that much there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like
The
you
interest is.
gotta you gotta look at their interest level, and if because not everybody's gonna be interested, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
don't take that personally if they are. And so,
But
yeah, it might be hard, right? And you're gonna run into those situations where you're you're attracted to someone, they're not attracted to you.
right, and that's where you have to be okay.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
rejection, but it's like
Okay.
hardly rejection. It's just lack of interest, which is okay.
You reading the signs, yeah.
Not everybody's going to be interested in you. Just like you're not interested in everybody. If you think you are, you're probably kidding yourself. You're you're probably setting your bar pretty
Wait,
low
what
to
do you mean?
be desperate or
If you're
needy
interested
or
in
something.
everybody,
Well,
do you think you're interested in it?
I've met people who are like, oh, I could go out with that person. You're like, do you really wanna? They're like, well, no, I just don't have anybody else to go out with. And you're like, so you don't want to go out with them. You're just filling time, feeling your need to feel, appreciated or whatever, or whatever it is, having
Right,
attention.
right, right.
Um,
I mean, because
but
people, it's people want connection. They want to be in a relationship, so
sure, yeah.
they'll go out and automatically seek it out.
But that's the big thing is read signs, right? It doesn't matter, dude. lady, right? You got to read the other person's signs. I mean, I I I've been there myself where like I'm like over pursuing and they're not interested and you're trying too hard. You know, um, number of people have said it before, making dates should be easy. If making a date is hard, you're not talking to the right person. Like move
I
on.
like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Especially after the first attempt. I'll give you I'll like cut you a break initially. If making the first date's hard, okay, maybe they haven't met you, so they, maybe like you can give yourself an excuse there, I guess. But after the first date, if it's difficult, walk. The same goes for
You're
chicks,
doing
also
yourself a
girls.
service. You're doing yourself a service to move on,
Yeah,
because you'll
and
find more other options that way. And it's just it's common to see that, it's easy to get stuck on one person. And so that's in your what you focus on
even
increases.
when you don't know them that
If you
well, you're not.
focus on them, you can't, you won't be, if you focus on the ones that are unavailable, you won't be able to see the ones that are actually
Yeah.
available and you can actually pursue a relationship with.
But the same message goes out to women too, because I know women that I've literally looked them in the eyes and said, you're a great person, but like not interested. Sorry, like you're not the girl for me, right? Months and months go by, and they're still texting me, and they're still trying to hang out. I'm like, you're wasting time, you're wasting energy, like you're wasting money, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, read the signs, especially when they're right in your face.
Mhm.
But hey, we're all to blame for that. I've definitely had signs right in my face that I've missed and put a blindfold on for. Um, right. But, you learn from that. That's, you get to where you are now. Um, you mentioned, what was the second thing you mentioned? You talked
Was
about,
if they're already in a relationship,
yeah, that's a big one, and that's an easy one.
right?
I mean, there's a difference in this one because women are attracted to men who have options. Men are not attracted to women who have options, right? So if a guy's in a relationship, she doesn't care. I mean, unless you have a moral code, biologically, you're still not going to care. You're still going to be attracted to a guy who has options, even if you have good moral code, like a religious background is probably the easiest example. Um, so hopefully you have a good moral code as a woman. As a dude, you know, you're wasting time. You're wasting time. Um, I always liked what Coach Corey said on that one. That became my belief after learning a lot of his material. Um, because sometimes you meet a girl and she's in a relationship and you can still have your way with her. Doesn't matter. Like that should not that
Right.
should drop below your standards, right? I knew a girl who that totally could have been the case, right? But I was like, nope, you're in a relationship. Like we
Hmm.
can hang out every now and then, but like shouldn't be by ourselves, and it shouldn't be somewhere where anything could happen, which technically could be anywhere. And yeah, no, that was my standard was if you're in a relationship, we don't go beyond talking.
Right. Right. Right.
And like you definitely know it bothers the hell out of some girls, but that should be your standard as a guy.
Yeah. What it seems like you're saying too is that is check your morals, and and you could you can make it, like, even if someone is in a relationship, you might still be able to make it work. So but that could also be, a super red flag, and obviously not a good idea. And if just something to think about. And he mentioned this too, Coach Corey Wayne. He mentioned that if they leave you because at that time they're more interested
No,
in you,
if they
or
leave their boyfriend because they're
their boyfriend, if they're
they'll do the same
interested
to you.
in
Yeah.
you more than their boyfriend at the time, they're gonna do the same exact thing to you, because it's a decision made off of feelings and not off of morals and what you believe. And so if they break those, once or what they think their morals are over their feelings, they'll do it again.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
And
that should just deter you into pursuing someone that has a relationship, you know.
well, that's as a guy, I would say that's always something good to keep in mind. Is if in general, I would say it applies to most human beings. If they'll do it once, they'll do it twice. If they'll do it once, they'll do it again. Um, so my advice to guys,
Mhm.
especially when dating, is if they'll do that once, or if they've done it once, they'll do it again.
Right.
Right. That
And
applies to like
a
everything.
big message is both, and both of these is read their actions. Read their actions, right? And even in general, read actions, not words.
Yep. So typically, and I'll share. I'll go a little more personal to help clarify. Right. Again, this is the point of view. This is I would say my recommendation for men. Um, if she has a boyfriend, cool, you're not interested. If she has a boyfriend, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, if things don't work out, here's my number, shoot me a text. But nothing more than that, right? You're not going to text her and hang out with her and have a conversation. Um, I I would say there are caveats to that. There are exceptions, is a better word. Um, you know, the girl I mentioned before, we were compatible in a lot of ways. It was a bummer that she had a boyfriend, right? And she actually ended up cheating on him um, with another guy, and that was where I drew the line. Was like, yeah, I'm not hanging out with you anymore. That's not how people I associate with. But um, but we hung out because we had a lot in common, and it wasn't like anything was being hidden. There was transparency. There was other people. There was transparency, and I knew my own like standards, and I stuck to them. And so, there are exceptions, definitely. But typically, like Dan is saying, you don't hang around and you don't wait for someone to become emotionally available and get out of a relationship. And I had no intention personally of dating that person, so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind being friends.
Yeah. Saw the signs, read the signs.
And I knew what I wanted. Then there was something else you mentioned in the beginning, on top of um, women who are in relationships. What was the other one? We'll
I'll
rewind, folks. Be right back.
get
It
that
was,
point.
it was a good one.
Um, we just talked. We talked about if they're already in a relationship and if they have to be interested enough.
Yeah, you mentioned something else about um, availability right in the beginning. I can't remember what it was, but at any rate, yeah, the biggest sign you're looking for is, are they willing to spend time? I mean, that's probably the most valuable asset you have in this life is your time, because you can take your time and do anything with it. I mean, okay, maybe besides like your life, um, but they kind of go hand in hand. If you have your life, you have time. Probably, maybe not. Oh, that's definitely arguable. Um, but yeah, as a person with rights and freedom, your time is probably your most valuable asset. And so if someone's not willing to spend time with you and you're not willing to spend time with someone else, then right off the bat, they're not available, so to speak. Um, and then of course, like Daniel said, if you're in a relationship, if they're in a relationship, their emotional availability isn't completely going to be with you, obviously.
Mm.
Um, Nor is their physical availability if they're doing their relationship properly. Um, Gosh, it's gonna eat me up that I don't know what that other thing
Oh,
was.
it's all right. We can
I,
always
it
talk
was
about
such a
it.
good point. Yeah, what other thoughts did you have in regards to the signs of
The-
people's availability in relationships?
Uh, just reinforcing that it's you know, we we commonly like over pursue people that aren't available, and
Yeah,
we chase them because we, want what we can't have, and so it looks more enticing to us. But, but then we can't see who's actually available. It reminds me of like being grateful. It's like, you have to practice looking at those that are available
yeah,
now and that aren't not available, so you can, see the options you have. You might not think you have options, but you just got to open your eyes and you got to, stop pursuing those that are not available, um, and stop wasting that time. If they don't like you, if you they're not gonna go out with you, or they, in the rare case scenario they will, but they'll take advantage of you or whatnot because there's no genuine interest they have.
yeah. Well, and it's funny what you bring up there because it's such a common complaint. Just like you said, you have to look for your blessings to be grateful. It's such a common complaint for people to be like, where are all the good girls at? Where are all the good girls? Where are all the good guys at? Where are all the manly men? You know, I've heard it from dudes. I've definitely made that complaint myself in the past. I've heard it from girls. Um, it you have to look, you have to open your eyes, you have to change your mindset. You have to believe that there are people out there who are compatible with you, that there are people out there who are have the qualities and the same values that you have, and that you'll find them if you keep looking. And and
No, it's a
big reason that relates to this is because you have to make sure you're not wasting time
mhm.
chasing people, spending your time, spending your energy on the opposite of that.
you you remind me of just, like flipping it around. You have to make yourself available too.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's true too. Sometimes you ask yourself, why don't I have a good relationship, or why don't I have the relationship I want, or why don't I have a relationship? You have to make sure you're doing everything you can to have that without, right? Don't take this the wrong way and say, well, that means I have to do everything I can to have that person. Well, not if that person doesn't want you. It means you're doing everything in your power to make yourself available for the right relationship. Um, you're balancing your work and your life. You have interests, you have goals, you know how to take time off, you know how to network, you know how to socialize, um,
you're
you know
ready
how
for
to,
that.
you know how to prioritize what's important to you and to not bend your standards. You know how to all these things, right? It doesn't mean that you take all your beliefs and throw them out the door and take all your energy and apply it to someone who doesn't have interest to get the relationship you want. It means you make yourself the you put yourself in as optimal situation to obtain what you want as possible without seeking to obtain something that isn't what you want, or something that you think is what you want but isn't. That's a big one. Is the what was the phrase? It was the fantasy. Basically, they were, you know, I think it was more of Corey's work, right? He would talk about how you weren't in love with them, you were in love with the fantasy, right? So make sure you're not spending energy on people who you have a fantasy built around when
It's
in reality
fake, it's a
you're missing
fake
the signs,
expectation that you have of what your relationship would be like.
right? Make sure what you're pursuing is realistic, and what you're pursuing and
Exactly.
what you're relating those,
Mhm.
what you're comparing other people to your image of, you're doing it um, in a realistic way. You're actually looking at the goods and the bads, and you're giving them a chance, but you're also being reasonable and being able to say no. And it's such a shame that I can't remember what you said in the beginning. I
Oh,
guess that's for another video and another day, and you'll just have to come back to catch it.
that's right.
But we know you like this video. That's why we've earned at least one like from you. Uh, did you have anything else to wrap up?
That's it. Perfect.
That's it. That's it. Peace.
Peace.